Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
Well, guys, those that are watching today, we have a special session of the Transform Sales Podcast Sales Software Review. We have my man Mitchell from Kondo. It's a special session today. It's going to be a tool that I started using myself and I found value the first moment he set me up. So the topic today is going to be LinkedIn DM tool for social selling. How's it going, Mitchell?
Yeah, it's going well. Lots of fun building a fun tool for folks on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So before we get to the first question that I want to ask is, how did it all started? What necessity or need you had in yourself to build this special tool, and what was your idea behind it?
So this ties in very well to your first question. So I used to be in B2B sales. We sold enterprise software. We'd be like prospecting on LinkedIn for these VPs of sales, VPs of marketing. They're very hard to get, as you know, right? So we'd send out all these DMs. We'd send out hundreds of DMs a week. And some of them would reply, yay, right? But then things get buried. We're sending hundreds of messages a week, and we take like 3 days to get back to someone who replied to us, and that was just like completely insane, right? It's like you went through all this trouble to get these super high value targets, and then they respond, and then you miss them just because you forgot, right? Like so that was crazy, and we want to like put an end to that. So we ended up kind of copy pasting every single message and every single interaction into a spreadsheet, and then we would review the spreadsheet every day and like use that as like a reminder list to like go check everyone. And we spent hours on that spreadsheet, and that's insane, but it's the only way we had to stay on top of our messages, right? So that was like the seed of the idea, and over the years I was like, surely someone's gonna build something that's gonna like solve this problem, or LinkedIn's gonna get better, right? And I waited. I was like, here's my credit card. So please someone build it so I can pay you to do it. But no one did. And so like a few years later, the right opportunity opened up where me and my co-founder, like between jobs, they were like, hey, let's go start something together. And then we started this. And this is like a very obvious idea because it's so painful for me in the past, painful for other people, and it hasn't been solved.
No, absolutely. And you probably used to be in a position where I was, where I will have to start the messages so I don't lose them on my LinkedIn, right? And even it gets to a point where they also get buried because you have so many interactions with the little star that it also gets hard to find them again, So it will be this is going to be a great session for you to show us.
The star marked as unread. I think LinkedIn came out with this other inbox. There are like ways you can finagle the thing, but it's like you're trying to use like a mini screwdriver set, right, to like fix IKEA furniture, right? Like it's like a losing battle.
Absolutely. So what alternatives were your customer using before buying your software?
Yeah, so I think most of them were kind of like me. They obviously use star unread, stuff like that, right? In LinkedIn we just talked about, but people have a CRM, or they have Notion table, or they have I just talked to someone who he gets like he's like 1,000 active conversations, right? He runs like a LinkedIn coaching business, and he has a spreadsheet, and he like puts everyone in the spreadsheet, and that's how he stays on top of it, right? So I think that's like the alternative for most people. If you have a CRM, some people use a CRM as a reminder tool. They add everyone to the CRM like full or go high level or something like that, and they set reminder in the CRM, and they have to constantly cross-reference between the CRM and their LinkedIn inbox just to stay on top of things, right? So it's like there's basically a lot of admin overhead just to stay on top of your LinkedIn messages by going somewhere else to remind you that you need to like come back to the inbox and do something to someone.
Awesome. So what were the challenges that your customers were running into doing that themselves, and how did your software help them overcome?
Yeah, so as mentioned, it's like people find another tool like a spreadsheet or CRM in order to manage the LinkedIn inbox. There's a lot of admin overhead. If you're crushing it, if you have like good lead flow, do you want to spend admin time managing spreadsheet, or do you want to close the deal, right? It's like that's what your time is worth. And so they end up not doing all the admin, and then they end up missing stuff even in the spreadsheet. And so the solutions are like, let's go hire an assistant, let's go hire some ops person, right, to help me do the admin. And then now you have like a spreadsheet and like an admin person just to manage your inbox, which is like how you make money for sure, right? But you've incurred so much overhead that you need someone to manage the admin overhead, and that's just ridiculous, right? So that's a problem with the spreadsheet. That's a problem with using another tool to manage the inbox, right? I think there's also other software out there. They're like CRMs that are built for LinkedIn, right? That there are also some automation tools which have a little inbox, but I think the problems with some of those tools is that they're focused on something else, right? You could get an automation tool to do automation. You don't get an automation tool to build inbox, and those tools invest heavily in automation working very well, not the inbox being the best, right? Same with the CRMs. They build great CRMs, so the LinkedIn features are kind of like a side note. So I think we really like focus only on inbox. We want to build the best inbox, and that's all we want to be. We don't want to do automation. We don't want to be a CRM. We just want to be like the best LinkedIn inbox you can have. And that's I think what has made us like better for people saying, I want to manage my inbox, right? I don't want like a tool which does 5 other things as well.
No, and sometimes when you're hiring somebody else, they don't have the same tone as how you speak, right? And one of the things that you mentioned, I think is very important. I heard this in a podcast, is that SDRs and AEs are spending 33% of the time doing admin work, right? So trying to get somebody to do it and to do it right, you also have to train the person to speak like you, right? In some sort of sense, right? So all that work, when you can just simply kind of solve it within 10 minutes of onboarding on your tool, I think that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah. And there are other problems people have as well. So when you get an assistant, you want to give them messaging, right? That sounds like you, like you mentioned, right? So some people like do a Google Doc, and then they're like, here are messages 1 to 50, right? And this is messages 2A to 2D or something. And then person is sitting there with a Google Doc, copy pasting stuff, right, into boxes, and that's kind of silly too, right?
No, and the amount of time it takes for you to export this data, and it exports all the data. So if you have a lot of conversation, how long is that going to take?
So I think we've also brought some of that, like if you have standard messaging that like you often use, and then you want to personalize it just a bit, right? We give you a system that assistants can also use to like run your inbox, but like do it with like your system and your messaging instead of you having to like train them to be you, right? So you give them a system, like a framework to operate in, where like you just run your system and it works, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is the favorite part of the podcast, which is you showing the product itself. I was very impressed when I first saw it, so I want to make sure everybody gets the same experience. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and you can kind of walk us through those key features that your software helped overcome when it comes to those specific challenges we mentioned, right?
Yeah, cool.
All right, awesome.
So here's Kondo, and this is my LinkedIn inbox right now, right? So I would say like we built Kondo to solve first the main problem that we don't want you to miss anything. If there's something important, we don't want you to ever say, hey, I forgot that, or where's that, or it got lost, right? The second thing we're solving for is we want to help you move faster through your messages, to spend less time admin work, like just blaze through them. So how you do that is first, like we're built for the keyboard, so that keyboard shortcuts, I'm hitting J and K right now, I'm going up and down, right? And then I can very quickly archive messages. So I'm going to archive this guy, I hit E, right? You see we've archived the message. We're just marking it's done. I have nothing more to say to him, right? If he comes back to me, great. So you can archive things pretty quickly. You can archive, right? And then the second thing you can do is set reminders. So I was talking to Ty, I could be, hey, I'm going to set a reminder for tomorrow, right? This is going to go to the archive and then come back tomorrow, right? And then the third thing I can do is label messages. So people have different stages of a conversation funnel, right? I can say label this guy as stage 1, right? Like new outreach or something, right? You can create things like that. You can do stage 2, right? Making an offer, right? For example, and then you see these people disappear from my inbox and they move into boxes of their own, where I can have all the stage 1 people here, all the stage 2 people here, and you can use this however you want. For myself, I have free trials, I have customers, I have leads, right? Basically, you can segment your inbox out into the people of different priorities, and then you go to the highest priority people first at the top, right? So by archiving, setting reminders, and labeling things, we allow you actually to empty out your inbox. If you get what I mean, you can, for every message here, I can do one of these 3 things to every single one without waiting for anything else. And my inbox will be empty at the end of the day. And why on earth would you want to empty out your inbox? Because that's the only way you have 100% guarantee that you haven't missed anything important because you have processed everything. You have chosen actively either to not do anything, do something later, or do something now, or like move them into some kind of like categorization, right? You have seen each message and you've touched it in some way. And this way, you know you're not missing anything, and you don't need a spreadsheet to set reminders. You don't need some other tool somewhere else where you track these things manually. You just do everything right in inbox.
Awesome. So just to make sure I got it right, just a quick recap. So you're displaying everything that I have in my DMs in this mini portal, right? But I'm also treating it as a mini deal board where I can put labels, right? I can archive them if there's nothing else I have to say. But sometimes there might be an opportunity that's outside of what we offer. But, I'm interested in having a conversation that can lead to another opportunity. So I'm going to label them in a specific way and then follow up and set a reminder, right? So I think that's something very useful because I feel like this is something I can't achieve directly if I do it on LinkedIn, right? So awesome.
Yeah. So and another thing I mentioned earlier is like there are certain like snippets you use, right? So in Kondo, you can make a snippet. So HubSpot users might be familiar with this, but let's say we want to make a snippet that's like, hey, my follow up template 1, right? And then I can use variables like first name and say, hey, right, you saw my post. Want to chat about it, right? So you can save little templates like this for yourself. You can make as many of them as you want. And now let's go find Dave and send him this template. So, right, I'm going to send him follow up template, right? So you see, I just used a shortcut to paste this template I made, right?
Make sure you hit send.
Yeah, and let's go send. And then while we're here, you can also send voice notes in Kondo, which is something you can't do on the desktop in LinkedIn. So we're going to send a voice note right now. Hey, Dave, we're on a podcast right now, but we're also recording a voice note in Kondo, right? And then you're going to like see it on your end. So we're going to send this right now, and you see it sends, and then Dave will feed his LinkedIn. So yeah, you can basically message a bit faster, more efficiently in Kondo. You can also build a workflow where you can go into these messages and then go one by one, right? You can archive things here. You can set reminders here, right? Basically, you can focus on each message one at a time, go through them, decide what you want to do with each, and then by the end of it, you'll realize you have an empty inbox before you know it.
I feel like you have a lot of things that you solve for. Out of all of them, which do you think has been the most requested by your buyers?
Yeah, I would say that because the LinkedIn native inbox is kind of crummy, right? Like you can't do very basic things. Reminders and labels get people quite far, right? The fact that you can sort out your inbox, the fact that you can set a reminder is like a big step. Because otherwise you got to do that in a spreadsheet or you got to like star things, right?
100%.
So I would say there's a lot here, and we've built this with like, how can we get your DM workflow into shortest time possible? But even if you use like 20% of our features, you're doing a lot more than you're already doing in your LinkedIn inbox, and you're already being more productive. You're already staying on top of messages more than you were before. You're already like getting leads you would have missed.
No, absolutely. And I feel like one of the things that you're also solving for it, putting myself in somebody that's using LinkedIn daily is you don't have to rely on like Google Keep. You don't have to rely going on Docs. Like you have all your snippets in there, right? So for example, in our case, we're a marketplace, right? So we have different service lines. We have candidates, we have agencies, we have software companies. So being able to label them so that you know how what the conversation is about before you even open the conversation, I feel like that kind of reduce some of the time as well, right?
Yeah. Exactly, right? The idea is that there are too many tools to do one simple thing, which is manage your inbox right now. Full meaning a spreadsheet's a tool, Google Keep's a tool, right? A Google Doc with all your templates is a tool. We want to bring all those related things into one place, which is an inbox. And guess what? Yeah. If you use Gmail, you realize you can do that in Gmail. So like, why the hell can't you do that in LinkedIn? Right? Yeah. So we're taking something very simple that you should expect of a messaging tool, and we're just like giving that to you for LinkedIn DMs. That's it.
Awesome. So when it comes to like what are the tasks, deliverables, and or people involved in setting up the software for this use case, how long would it typically take to reach full productivity?
Yeah, so it takes 10 minutes to actually get set up with the tool, but it just depends on where you are. If you're like a super organized person, right? If you have a whole team and they're on top of things all the time, yeah, they could spend a day in this thing and figure out how this can replace like all these spreadsheet workflows, right? But maybe for some people, this is new. Like you've never thought about the idea of emptying your inbox out. You've never thought of the idea of archiving or setting reminders or labeling things, right? And you're like, what should I label? Like, what should I set a reminder on? Or what are the steps in my process, right? So it really depends on where you are in your social selling journey and how sophisticated your existing workflow is. But yeah, and I would say if you spend time on this, like in probably a few days or a week, you'll get the hang of it, right? And for people who are already super organized, we're just giving you the tool you were like dreaming of anyway, right? You already had in mind like a tool that does all these things. You know how you would use it. I'm just giving you the ability to do the stuff you already wanted. So yeah, I would say no one has complained that this takes too long to set up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like the buyer adoption is a lot easier to achieve with this, right? Because like most people think LinkedIn is just to get a job. Now they realize they can actually make content, and then they realize that they can actually have some conversations coming in. But then, how do I really turn into a superhuman if I haven't all these interactions coming in? And I feel like the tool solves that within minutes, and I feel like that's something awesome. One of the things that I wanted to ask, and it's highly demanded by our audience, is when it comes to your support channels, do you have like a chat? Do you guys have like a Slack group, or how does potential buyers or current buyers communicate with you guys?
So the best thing is that I'm on LinkedIn, and we're selling a LinkedIn DM tool. So like, you can DM me, and yeah, that's how our customers get help, right? Like they literally like connect with me on LinkedIn. They go into Kondo, they hit find me, and then they're like, hey, this thing looks broke, or I need help, or like, yeah. So we try and respond within 24 hours, and especially if like things look like like really critical, that's like blocking your use of the tool, or you really can't figure something out. So yeah, LinkedIn is a support channel for us. There's also like regular help channel, which is you press the help button in the app, it sends an email to our support email, and then same thing. I try and get back to people in 24 hours, and it's something like for some people who really need help, we can always get on a call. I do short calls with people who. Yeah, so it's quite personal, and that's because we're early, we're still small, but we'll stay small for a while, and like support will be very hands on.
So let's say I decide to go for your product, right? What does pricing looks like? How do I plug this in? How do I install it? What does that look like?
Yeah, so there's a 14-day free trial. You can just get started without a credit card. It's like completely free to try. There's no commitment. Right now, we onboard all our users by hand, right? Meaning to say you book like a 20-minute call with me. I literally sit down with you, talk about your inbox, get you set up, show you how the workflow works, answer all questions, right? So that's how you do it. You can go to trykondo.com, put in your email, and it'll bring you to my calendar, and you can book a call, and we can chat about your inbox for 20 minutes. And then after the 14-day trial, pricing currently is $16.50 a month if you pay for the year, or $25 a month if you pay monthly. Yeah, and that's that.
Awesome. And how do I plug it into my LinkedIn? How does that work?
Yeah, so you create a Kondo account. Currently, you sign up for Kondo with a Google account, any Gmail account or G Suite account is fine, right? And then basically once you log in, and if you have your account logged in on linkedin.com on your browser, you just hit connect, and yeah, in a couple of seconds you get connected to your messages. We saving your LinkedIn login credentials. We're just using whatever is logged in on linkedin.com, and if you log out, it will just stop working, right? So we don't save your username and password. We don't log in to your account somewhere on a server. It's just literally functioning on your browser as you go, and all the data is also stored locally on your machine. I have no idea who you're messaging, what you're saying to them. It never reaches our servers. We don't store them. The only way your data leaks is if you lose your laptop. And yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Awesome. And one of the things that I like the most is that it's a simple Google extension, right? So you can download it in seconds and have your support, and I'm already set up, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And one of the questions that gets asked a lot is, what are the KPIs that your ideal customer should use to evaluate the success with the software for this use case, and what quantifiable outcomes can they expect?
Yeah, so I think this kind of like this comes down to how much you're on LinkedIn and LinkedIn DMs. So one of our users, he spends like 6 hours a day on LinkedIn, right? He was like spending hours and hours doing DMs because that's like the one main only channel for his business. He used to spend like all the 6 hours, he spends 3 hours in the DMs. Now he spends 30 minutes a day on the DMs, right? So we've saved him like 2 hours a day, right?
A lot.
That's worth a lot. I mean, that's very, very high ROI on our subscription, right? But maybe you don't, right? Maybe you spend 45 minutes a day on your DMs. Maybe you spend 30 minutes a day, right? I think whatever it is, you can expect to like get through like maybe like 2 to 3 times faster. You can go through messages that than you would otherwise. And what it really means is that you're not going to miss some leads. There are probably some if you're doing social selling. If you're prospecting on LinkedIn, if LinkedIn's a channel for your job as like a sales rep, a solopreneur, I guarantee you there is some lead somewhere in your inbox right now, which you are missing because it got buried, right? And
100%.
what Kondo allows you to do is enables a workflow which you will pick up all those leads you missed, and you will make money week 2 because you have leads sitting around your inbox doing nothing. Right. And
Absolutely.
how much is one lead worth? A lot more than $20 subscription,
100. That's 100%. Yeah. Oh, well, I think this is a great session. I feel like you covered a lot of solutions that you guys offer in a simple extension, which is super surprising to me, right? Because when I first got introduced to this tool, I figured like I had to do a login, I had to do a whole bunch of complicated things for what it would deliver, right? But then I realized it was so simple that I wanted to start using it right after I finished the call with you, and that's what I did. And I feel very comfortable. I feel like it was easy. I feel like using the keys in order for you to do things a lot faster. And look at the guy you talked to, you just mentioned, right? You're reducing 20 hours a day. That's almost 40 hours a month, right? Yeah. That he's now spending getting buyers and increasing revenue, right?
Yeah, I mean, like again, I spend so much time myself, like spreadsheeting. Like I have better things to do in life as a startup founder than like admin on the spreadsheets. You get what I mean? And I couldn't run Kondo without Kondo. Like I would literally roll over and be like, what the hell, right? Like everyone's like messaging me something. Like I have to go to a spreadsheet. Are you kidding? Like if you're a busy person and you value your time, you should consider how like you can stop doing admin work, and like tools are one way to get over that. I think it's the easiest choice to like get that your time, right? Just
absolutely
get a tool that's gonna like cut the admin work and save your time.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll say that essentially you want to be involved in a product that people come look for you, right? But also having a solid process where you can communicate with those people and not have them get buried. I feel like those two are a good combination for you to be successful, especially on a platform like LinkedIn.
Yeah, and guess what? If people come knocking on your door, you want to go answer, right? You don't want to build all this amazing content. You're putting out videos. You're like, people like connect requests with you. They send you messages like, hey, want to chat? What are you up to? And then like you leave them hanging for like days. And then they're like, dude, you got time to post content? Why don't you just reply to my damn message, right? Like, what's wrong with you? So it's so important to stay on top of these conversations because it's like you're building relationships and it kind of reflects on your brand. But it's hard, it's hard when LinkedIn doesn't give you like a tool that helps you manage, like get back to these people efficiently. And that's what we're doing here. We're just helping you be on top of these relationships, actually like grow these conversations that you're having because you're like going out there on LinkedIn. And we're making that actually possible, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, one of the things that I also like about the tool is that you're capable to have like your LinkedIn next to the tool. So while you're responding back to them, you're also referencing previous posts, trying to get more context and building those conversations to be a lot more valuable than the initial one, right? And I feel like that's something super strong as well for you too.
Yeah. And I can also like show you how that works here. I can hover over people in my inbox and hit I, and it's going to open like a window, right? If you see what's happening, I can hit I, right? Going to open this guy's profile, right? Hit I, open this guy's profile. So you can get more context as you're messaging people. You can also see their latest posts, right? I just hit P on my keyboard, and you can see what people are up to and personalize your message better this way, by having this like kind of contextual view, right? You just have a list of people you're going after. You open their recent posts, and you personalize your messages.
Absolutely. No, and that's one of the things that I like the most, right? Because I feel like I have used multiple tools trying to do prospecting on LinkedIn. I feel like when I step away 100% from the tool, it just doesn't feel right. Right. But when I'm also seeing the stuff that's being posted on LinkedIn while also getting the full functionality of the tool, I feel like that sets me up to make those conversations a lot stronger and get a lot more context. Right. So yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. How have you been using Kondo, Dave? Have you emptied?
Well, initially, I'm cleaning up a lot of my DMs. There was a lot of responses that I had to deliver on, and I missed them. It's mistakes we all make, and I feel like now that I have a solution, it's easy to go back, come stronger with a lot more context, bring in more value, and recover from those conversations, right? But
yeah, what were you doing before? And yeah, how is your
exporting and go one by one? That would take me so much time. There was moments where I had to leave those tasks on the side, right? Mm-hmm. And now I know I can solve it within minutes. So cool. I'm on the good track.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, Mitchell, this was a great session. Anything else you want to share with the audience?
Yeah. So I mean, it's free to try. So like, it's risk free. Like if you want to get set up with a 14-day free trial where I'll walk you through the details of how to set this up for your inbox, right? Go to trykondo.com, right? Put in your email and we'll chat soon.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for watching this session from the Transform Sales Podcast, also for review. If you're trying to have superhuman powers in your DM for social selling, this is the tool for you. I'll leave it on the description below. And Mitchell, I will be there to support you in any questions that you may have.
Cool. Yeah. See you guys on LinkedIn.